This is Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. Since 1977, Instituto del Progreso Latino has been working to meet the many educational, employment, and cultural needs of the Latino community here in Chicago. Today, our guests are here to talk about their work. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how are you today in this in this cold weather we're having?
We're coping. We're used to it. So we're waiting for springtime.
Like all of us. Let's start off by talking about the roots of this organization, how it came to be, and how it's changed over the years. Who would like to take that question?
Well, as you said, the organization has been in the community for over 36 years. We started as a program or a organization helping immigrant families, Latino immigrant families, trying to survive with providing them with ESL classes and also citizenship, so they could start working. And as the years have progressed, you know, we see the high demands of not only just teaching them English, but now also teaching them certain careers. We have our youth programs to focus now on youth as well. So it has evolved to try to hit many different areas where we could help our community progress.
So it started a small organization focused mainly on ESL?
It started as an ESL program many years ago. But now we have many different programs.
Right, yeah, from what
yes.
my research, it's a huge organization.
Yes.
And how did you become involved in the organization? And tell us what you do there now.
Initially, I think I got involved around 2004 or 5 as a consultant to the principal of the alternative high school there. And so I worked with them for like 3 to 4 years and really developed the curriculum, and their program started to grow more. I think at that time it was 60 students.
60 students.
And so then I left to get my Type 75 and my administration.
What's the Type 75?
A Type 75 is a certificate in Illinois for administration. So one can become an assistant principal or a principal. And in that, I became involved. I remember Instituto, and many people called me, and the principal was going to transition to another program, and so therefore asked me to apply, and I did. And the teachers asked as well. And so it's been wonderful, and I started in 2000, about 2 years ago. I'm in the 3rd year.
Your 3rd year. So this is one of the areas that wasn't originally part of the purpose of the organization, but it's certainly one of the stronger areas. How many students do you have now?
So we're at about 250. However, it did start initially, so it was ESL classes, and then later
right, but it
GED.
wasn't with. You're working with high school students, right?
It was high school. It was a GED program.
Okay.
And so then that GED program evolved over time, and it was mostly monolingual Spanish-speaking students, immigrant students, and then started to blend and have more students that have had generations here in the U.S. as well as immigrant students. So that's what we have now. And before, we were under what it was called YCCS, another charter, in partnership with Instituto. And when I came on, wrote a charter proposal.
You wrote a charter proposal?
Yes. We wrote the charter proposal, the development office and myself, and we did win it from CPS, and we became the first alternative charter here.
So it's not necessarily just a charter school, but an alternative charter school?
That's correct.
What does that mean? For our viewers that don't, well, actually for me as well, what makes you different?
So what makes us different is that we have 17 to 21-year-olds, and they either were not successful in a traditional high school, or they may have had tragedy in their home, you know, a parent dying, or they actually were sick, and therefore were not able to finish at the school that they started. And we take below 20% of 16-year-olds as well.
Okay, and 60 to 250. Are there plans to expand that?
Yes, we're what we call a multi-site charter. So therefore, we have 2 now. We started with 1, and we can go up to 1,800 students.
1,800. And primarily focused where, in what region of the city? South, southwest side, or where?
It is south-southwest. We are looking to expand otherwise, but that's the current plan.
Okay. And Claudia, what are the programs that you work with? We'll come back to how the high school or that alternative high school works, but certainly want to talk to Claudia.
I'm actually working with the whole institution, so I do work with the schools for recruitment. But I started with the Carreras en Salud program, or the adult programs, which we have many.
Well, tell me, you've been here before to talk about Carreras en Salud, but tell us about that because it is one of your...
Well, we have two college bridge programs, and one of them is Carreras en Salud, and that is a preparation nursing program. So we help individuals that have limited English, teach them the vocabulary, the medical vocabulary, but in the English, and then they transition into the bridge program of getting their CNA, which is a certified nursing assistant certificate, or to the licensed practical nursing, all the way to registered nursing. And then we have our CNC training, which is a computerized numerical control machine program. And that's also a college bridge program. It has the same mission as the Carreras, but we teach you manufacturing English. And then you transition into the manufacturing certificate of receiving that certificate to get a job.
I'm curious about manufacturing. That's, I think, one sector a lot of people don't think about as far as jobs or job training really anymore.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. CNC is a very high demand job at this moment. We don't, like you said, we don't think about it, but there is a lot of jobs out there. CNC.
Well-paying jobs, right?
Well-paying jobs. The reason that we don't see them because they were mostly overseas, and now they're bringing these jobs back to the U.S., but there's not enough well-trained people to work those jobs. So many programs like ours is training individuals to get those certificates so they could get those jobs that are out there.
What do these jobs look like? I think manufacturing, or I think a lot of us do, we think of maybe an old factory somewhere.
Yes. Well,
but that's not true.
No. For example, with CNC or computerized numerical control, these are big machines in a factory, but it's a very clean environment. They have heat, in the winter. They have air conditioning in the summer. Very clean, and machine is basically doing everything. You're just basically controlling the panel of the machine. So it's very clean and a very high-paying job.
Wow. And so people do get curious when they come and ask for information. I mean, are they seeking these types of jobs, or do you?
We assess them. We
okay.
assess them, and we actually let them know. We have our new hospitality program, where we're focused on 14 certificates for people that are interested in going into hospitality, and then
Hospitality is exactly what?
Hospitality is a program that we have to develop, not in culinary, but the behind the scenes of hospitality, customer service, management, sometimes food prepping, inventory, the things that go on together with culinary.
Okay.
So right now we do have a program that exists that provides 14 certificates in different areas in hospitality to work at casinos, restaurants, stores, anything that has to do with hospitality, hotels.
Right.
Yeah.
The word, I guess, hospitality. I mean, it's
very
broad.
Broad.
Yeah, definitely. And people are like, okay, well, at least I am. I'm not very knowledgeable about that.
Right.
That industry.
And it goes the same way like manufacturing. Manufacturing is such a broad. Right away we
Right.
just think machinery.
Right.
But manufacturing has a lot. Forklifting and lines and but there's so many things. So what we do is we actually find out what are their needs, what are their background, what is their experience, qualifications, and then we guide them and say, you know what, this would be a good program for you or not.
And this organization has existed responding to the needs that you see in the Latino community. As far as you as an organization are concerned, you're obviously responding to some of those big needs. What are other needs that you're helping meet through Instituto at this moment, besides job training and maybe helping people through an alternative high school?
Well, right now, one of the things that we're also focusing on is citizenship, the DACA.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
The
the deferred action.
Yes, we have the deferred action for childhood arrival.
The tax services as well.
Tax services.
So we've just started that season.
Wow. And
So there's many other resources. So we have the training, we have the schools, but then we have those resources where people will just walk in and say, hey,
so they're
I
not
need help.
they're not formal programs, but they are services you offer to the community, or in general.
Tax is a service.
The tax is a service. The DACA is it is a service, but it's a continuous service that we offer through citizenship.
Okay, and I'm curious. So people just come to your door and say, "I need tax service," and
Yes.
Yes, we actually have, I think our best advertisers are the participants themselves. So, excuse me, it's based out of one of our buildings where we have the school. And so we didn't have it there last year, and everyone was coming. I mean, it was an abundance of people saying, where are the tax services? So
Really?
we told them we relocated to another one of our sites. But now we brought it back because of the fact that people were very comfortable in that space.
Yeah.
wow. And now I do want to go back to the high school because you call it Leadership Justice Academy, right? What exactly does that mean for me? You know, justice means so many things, and leadership as well. What philosophy? I'm just curious. Is that based on, and what do you hope to accomplish through these ideas?
Well, it is a social justice curriculum. It is also a leadership curriculum, and we have very specific competencies, and they're leadership competencies. And so we have a 3-year program, and so after the 3 years, we're looking for those competencies. And I'll give you an example. We have, we aligned the whole curriculum, and not to get into so many details, but from academic to social emotional to context, political, or even their own situation. We use those.
Take me through some of those details. To say I'm a student, I had some trouble, or I had a death in the family, and I'm looking for a way to step up and to actually do something more with my life. What would happen with me?
Well, it depends on how many credits you have. No,
I have very few credits.
and very few credits.
And they're not very good grades.
Well, and this is one of the things. It's part of our philosophy. It's called Unlearning Relearning.
Okay.
And a lot of it does stem from Paulo Freire, who is a Brazilian educator and looked
Pedagogy
at
of the oppressed.
pedagogy of the oppressed and pedagogy of hope and pedagogy of freedom. And so one of the things that we do in our program is not only we analyze your situation, right? And then we use this word called ubicación, te ubicas. So it's not just you, it's not just happening to you, but it happens to a people and a community. And of course, being in Pilsen, little village, being near, there's a lot going on in that neighborhood, especially in
Working
terms
class
of,
neighborhoods.
exactly, and quality education. We have one of the highest dropout rates of young people. However, we are the group that is the highest. Basically, I think it's about 15 to 25-year-olds, biggest group. Actually, I think it's now 12 to 25, where the in terms of ethnic groups have the biggest group. So looking at that and Instituto responding to that, we needed to really get an educational model that was going to have impact. So one student has a chronic disease, and he goes in and out of the hospital. And through those competencies, discipline for freedom is one of them. And so discipline for freedom for us is it matters what you've gone through, racism or inequality, it
Right.
matters. But you need to analyze it, and you have responsibility and you have power. So one of the things that we talk about in the curriculum as content, but not only as content, but as process. So how are you applying discipline in your life to stop these injustices? And so, but you have to be prepared. You have to research. You have to have research skills. You have to have writing skills. So many of our students are coming out. I actually just came from an analysis meeting of our data, and she's at 12.5 in terms of math. And she didn't have a math course this semester.
Wow.
So it's very interesting that we're really seeing a lot of growth from students. Before, if they weren't coming in consistently on time or in terms of days and they were absent a lot, as they go through our program, it becomes a non-issue. I have one young man who, he identifies himself as gay, and he had a lot of trouble, you know, and when you go through these things, it almost becomes a way to resist, right, in terms of not going to school. Did you want to
No, go ahead.
And,
You're making me think. I'm thinking of other questions.
And so now, I mean, you know, my young man, I'm not going to say his name, would stroll in at 11 o'clock. And now he's graduating this year. And he presented training, and we had what is called the Urban Student Symposium. And they're supposed to train us. So the students take
Awesome.
over, and they teach and they train. And he did a workshop on what's so gay, and talking about how we use it in our language and how that really does not empower people.
Right.
And it almost causes us to have violence on a group of people that you don't even know. So it's really complex. I mean, I know that I may have said like a short story, but they research, they write, they present, and we really have a lot of students that first may have been shy. At the USS, we have where the whole school is in one room, and they talked about, they studied through the semester about the prison industrial complex and how there's so many Latino and African Americans in it, and what does that mean?
The whole drug war, right?
Exactly. Well, it's criminalizing our youth. They may not even have drugs, but they get stopped in the street.
Right.
And so we teach in a way that doesn't create an enemy, but it actually tries to create solutions. And so one of the young girls never spoke in front. We had about 200 kids, and never wanted to speak in front of the class. And she spoke in front of 200 students and
Wow.
staff about this issue of the prison industrial complex. So it's content, it's process, but it's also about empowerment. It's not to shun people. It is to actually attract people wanting to do justice work.
Wow, it sounds amazing. But it sounds like you also, I guess, the workings within the individual. It almost sounds like a recovery program in some sense, because you're saying responsibility. You know, this may have happened to you, or you may have gone through this, but you still have to take responsibility.
Right.
And you said this particular student who happens to be gay, you said there was some resistance or something like that.
Yes.
When did you see a transformation, or how did a breakthrough happen for him?
Well, it's interesting because in each student it's different, and it's funny because we are unique, and so we have strengths in certain areas, and then we
Right.
have what I call gaps to goals. I don't call them
Challenges?
weaknesses, right? But we all have them, right?
Right, we all. Yeah.
We may want to blame each other for them, but
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. So, so it may, look like him coming 10 minutes earlier, right? And it may look like he showed up on Friday instead of every Friday he takes off. And then this year, I think he's been with us 2.5 years, on time, every day, prepared. I just left him a little while ago, and his portfolio is ready. They have to have a portfolio ready for their graduation. They have to have a graduation checklist. They're making sure everything is fine-tuned. And he just closed it. The checklist is done, and he's like, I just want to leave this with you. I'm very happy that I'm about to graduate. And this was something before that we were thinking, oh, is he going to make it?
Right.
I almost said his name.
Is he going to make it? Well, I'm sure he'd also appreciate that. But what about, it takes, I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is, I guess, one of my areas of passion as well is education. And I think it's such a huge part of your work. What about students where you see there's not a change happening? Because, again, going back to the whole question of responsibility, what do you do in those cases? Reach out? Do you have a team of counselors? What happens then?
So I do have a team of counselors, and you would think we have 250 students, and I have a social worker, and I have 4 counselors, social emotional, and then I have what is called our peacekeepers. We have 2, and so we have a very different philosophy. And again, it's about discipline. It isn't, and so this is our competency: discipline for freedom versus punishment. So then we apply that to our policies. Are we punishing? Are we giving people a chance after we're coaching? We have something that's called coaching. We coach kids in their skills. That's why they're competencies, right? And the competencies, if they're not doing time management, if they're not prioritizing, if they're not goal setting, then we coach in that area. And then that's how we get students to progress. So it's a very specific case. And I'll give you an example. I last night, I was trying to put the girls to bed, of course, and I'm getting texts from my students. And it was an alumni.
You're always on the clock, it sounds like.
She is.
Well, yes and no. I just enjoy the moment is the way I think about it. But she texts me and she's like, you know, I miss you. I miss the school. I need competencies. And I said, what? Like, I can't believe this. And so then I text back and I said, why do you need it? And she's like, because I'm in college now and I have my son and I have my family and I'm not applying it consistently and I really need to. So I told her, come on in. And that's another thing we do. We're developing a 3-prong approach for 3 years to follow our students, our alumni.
Wow.
And they can come in and use our resources for college. And this is something very intentional and important for us, that although it's an alternative school, they can go to college. They can go to Carreras en Salud. And we work very closely to get the students in. Now we're developing a pipeline to the manufacturing and to the hospitality program. And so, again, I have students that are gang members, I have young mothers, and for us, they are human beings first.
Right, which they should be all the time.
Exactly. And so we just need to coach each other. So, you know, I could meet someone with a PhD and his value system has nothing to contribute to the society. So we look at them in that realm, and everyone on staff looks at them in that realm.
That's very beautifully said. I mean, and the value of a person is their humanity and not their degree or their position.
Hence, one of our competencies is called fully human versus intimidation or manipulation.
Wow. It's very moving what you're saying. I'm being honest. It's like, wow. It's like, no, it's very moving. It just,
thank you.
It's amazing work you're doing and the philosophy behind it, and because I think the society we live in, unfortunately, and certainly we're part of that society. So it's not true for everyone, but I think we tend to view human beings that when we make mistakes as, you know, they deserve punishment or they don't deserve a second chance. And it seems like Instituto, one of the thrusts through the organization is second chances, right? And opportunities and for growth and becoming fully human, I guess.
Yes.
And just to add to her, you know, ISLA, or Instituto Justice Leadership Academy, is one of the charter schools. Then we have the other one, the Instituto Health Science Career Academy. And this is the regular 9th graders to 12th graders. But there's also a pipeline from that school to ISLA that if we do have those troubled students that are not making it through the regular high school, they transition into same organization of Instituto, but we're sending them to the other campus to go ahead and finish and find, so they could find out what is it that they need to accomplish what they were not able to accomplish in a regular high school.
So they might stumble or trip or something happens, and Instituto is there again.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, we even have sisters and brothers.
In
one
opposite
in Ishika
campuses, one in the alternative, one in the regular high school.
Wow. I'm like amazed by this. I do want to touch, we just have a few minutes left. I want to touch on some others. You have the Mujer Avanzando program. That's not for students, right?
Mujer Avanzando is for anybody that is actually, they have to be a working mother, making less than $40,000 a year, and they learn
It's a lot of our women.
Yes,
Yes.
and they learn skills basically just to how to become leaders in their career, and at home, in their education, so they could actually come out and have that leadership to possibly go into further and come out that $40,000 income. So it's just for women. And I believe it's a nine-month course that they go through. And they touch bases on all those skills that the program has to offer.
So these women come to you, or do you go out and recruit them? How does that work?
Well, I'm the institutional recruiter. So wherever I go, I advocate whole instituto. And again, it's just basically sitting down and speaking to people one-on-one. I do ask questions so I know where to actually direct them. Sometimes they might have different referrals from me.
Right.
First go here, then go here, then go here. But we as an organization, we analyze and prioritize what would be first for them. So if they need the English first, okay, but then you might be a nurse. So you know what, Carreras en Salud's for you.
Right.
Or you're already working mom and you're okay with your career, then we offer you Mujer Avanzando. But then we actually say, do you have kids? Oh, and then the story starts, oh, well, I have a troubled child, or my child is in 8th grade. Then you know what, you go to Mujer Avanzando, but here's the schools for you, or my husband got laid off, then he goes to CNC training.
So it becomes this
So, yeah.
a wraparound.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, one of our students, she enrolled her son, and now her other son is there. And then they brought the cousin, and that mom, we told her about CNA, because on our report card pickup day, we have those resources. And now she, in Carreras en Salud, graduated from that program.
Yeah.
Wow, this show could go on for another hour. You guys are doing amazing work. Thank you so much for coming out today and sharing just part of it.
No,
Thank you very much for having us.
Perspectivas Latinas is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Perspectivas Latinas for local issues and concerns every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.